2019 marked 25 years since South Africa transitioned from an apartheid state to a democratic dispensation. 1994 was more than just a shift in political power and ideology. It signaled hope and displayed the resilience of the human spirit. The United Nations General Assembly approved the credentials of the South African delegation and removed the item on apartheid from its agenda. South Africa's first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela, signed the Standard Basic Assistance Agreement that formalized South Africa's recipient status with the United Nations Development Programme. For the past 25 years, UNDP has proven to be a trusted partner to the government and people of South Africa. The agency's priorities have been consistently aligned to government's national goals and aspirations. UNDP has over the years tailored its support and responses through programs designed to boost job creation, youth employment, income generation, enhancing transparency and accountability in government, fostering gender equality and social cohesion, and resolving the complex issue of land rights and distribution. Here are some of the key milestones of UNDP in South Africa in the last 25 years. An early success for UNDP was the Southern African Botanical Diversity Network project, which emerged as a model project for South-South cooperation and regional project coordination. It covered 10 countries and focused on strengthening institutions and human capacities in plant biodiversity recordal systems in museums and research organizations to support evidence-based conservation efforts. UNDP's Global Environment Fund's Small Grants Program started in 2001 and has since delivered more than 120 projects through the provision of technical and financial support. Up to $50,000 in funding has been granted to communities and civil society organizations for conservation and environmental activities designed to restore the surrounding environment as well as benefit people's livelihoods. In 2003, UNDP supported the rollout of 500 solar water heaters for low-income households in peri-urban areas. This produced a report titled Economic Impact Analysis of Meeting Energy Efficiency Requirements of Electric Wafer Heaters. In 2005, the development and implementation of the South African National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan was finalized. It later became the foundation for the country's National Biodiversity Framework. This framework catalyzed the mainstreaming of biodiversity initiatives and integrated approaches associated with the implementation of the Convention on Biological Diversity. The strong relationship between UNDP South Africa and the Global Environment Facility, or GEF, led to the convening of the 2006 GEF Assembly in Cape Town. UNDP's early work on governance supported the KwaZulu-Natal Public Service Training Academy. UNDP set up the KZN Nerve Center in the office of the Premier. The Interactive Nerve Center is a fully functional, automated monitoring and evaluation system to enhance governance and service delivery in the province. Support also included sharing planning tools with public servants like foresighting and horizon scanning, and the development of monitoring and evaluation systems. agency innovation is exemplified by the work with the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa. The partnership focused on new approaches towards civic education, enhancing the participation of youth and women in electoral processes, and the adoption of new technologies to ensure greater electoral integrity. With concerns regarding a lack of transparency and accountability and an increase in corruption within governance, UNDP turned its efforts to focus on supporting South Africa to foster ethical leadership. This is best reflected through the Ethical Leadership Development Program offered in partnership with the Public Service Commission of South Africa. Phase 1 of the South African Wind Energy Program was launched in 2007. This helped the country harness its abundant wind energy potential and make wind power commercially viable. The program remains in operation under the auspices of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. It's in its second phase of creating green jobs, increased energy production from renewable sources, and greater energy efficiency remains a key area of focus. The project is also training wind turbine service technicians, 37% of whom are women, and also piloting a mini-grid wind power system coupled with an existing solar PV and battery storage mini-grid in the Upper Blinkwater village in the Eastern Cape. Ahead of the historic 2010 Soccer World Cup, UNDP launched the report Sustainable Public Transport and Sport 2010 Opportunity. In the same year, UNDP South Africa partnered with Stats SA to produce the Millennium Development Goals Country Report, which was presented to the special plenary session of the UN General Assembly. The agency has provided technical support in the drafting of numerous policy papers, many of which have been enacted into law. These include the Green Paper on Land Reform in 2011 and the Land Tenure Security for Commercial Farming Areas Policy and the extension of the Tenure Amendment Act enacted 7 years later. In 2011, UNDP initiated market transformation through energy efficiency standards and labeling of appliances. This continued until 2017 with a goal to reduce electricity consumption and therewith greenhouse gas emissions. In 2012, UNDP strengthened fire management in 4 communities around the Fynbos biome through a program aimed at reducing disaster risks from wildland fire hazards associated with climate change. FireWise Communities was born out of this initiative. On youth employment, UNDP commissioned a report in 2013 titled Analysis of Youth Employment Databases in South Africa. The study profiled youth registered in 3 unemployment databases to better understand the drivers of youth unemployment. A second study on youth unemployment schemes in South Africa was also commissioned. This resulted in the Comprehensive Handbook, a guide to establishing business incubators in South Africa. The focus on youth employment and entrepreneurship intensified in 2019, when the country office launched the South African Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge Fund under the name Youth Entrepreneurship Action Hub. This program provides catalytic funding and market exposure to innovative solutions developed by youth, targeted at creating job opportunities for young people.
This program, I can take on that mountain now with a lot of confidence.
We have been able to redefine our business model to make sure that we give our customers the best possible product.
The dream for the business is to see small to medium businesses in the informal sector thriving by collecting revenue for their businesses to grow.
Now I'm able to negotiate, to make decisions, to close the deal because of the program. And then the knowledge that they give us, now I feel more confident.
In 2015, UNDP partnered to launch the OR Tambo debate series on the National Development Plan. Here, UNDP convened a range of participants and stakeholders to share valuable insight on development pathways. This was a significant year as it was also the year in which the Sustainable Development Goals were signed into effect and endorsed by South Africa. 2015 was also the year when South Africa joined the Partnership for Action for a Green Economy. Since then, UNDP, together with ILO, UNEP, UNIDO, UNITA, and the Department of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries, as well as other partners, have been collaborating, coordinating, and supporting policy implementation in the green economy space. An example is the creation of a social dialogue on just transition and accelerating reforms related to green industry, green economy progress measurement, trade, water, and renewable energy. 2019 also marked 25 years of support to the Orange Senqu River Basin Commission, which integrates water resources management between Botswana, Namibia, Lesotho, and South Africa for the sustainability and conservation of surface and groundwater systems of key strategic water source areas. 2019 was no doubt a year of milestones for UNDP South Africa. It saw the launch of a global network of 60 UNDP accelerator labs across several countries globally. As one of the countries selected to host an accelerator lab, UNDP South Africa worked with a range of key stakeholders to collaborate on a range of initiatives aimed at developing critical capacities and identifying, testing, and supporting innovation to help fast-track the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Innovation is the name of the game. Improving communication between citizens and government is one of the priorities of the governance program at UNDP. Therefore, supporting the implementation of Let's Talk Batophile, a platform using technology for citizen-generated data regarding service delivery issues, was a defining step for UNDP's integration with local government. More than 50,000 government officials and community members of 10 wards in the Thulamela municipality in the Vembe district in Limpopo province access this communication platform. In addition, since 2019, UNDP has been contributing to the global knowledge base on biodiversity financing and access to genetic resources and benefit sharing through the Biodiversity Finance Initiative and the Global ABS projects. 2 projects focusing on development of value chains for products derived from genetic resources and leapfrogging South Africa's markets to high-efficiency LED lighting and high-efficiency distribution transformer are also in their initial phases. 2020 marks the decade of action toward the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030. It also marks 75 years of the existence of the United Nations. But the year also brought with it a global pandemic. South Africa was not spared. We see every day how the COVID-19 pandemic is fundamentally changing the country's development agenda and creating uncertainties about the collective path back to safety, security, and well-being. To respond to this devastation, the government of South Africa moved swiftly and firmly to put measures in place to help curb the virus and strengthen the health system. UNDP too stepped up and supported government's COVID-19 response by 1. Strengthening the health system through the procurement of medical supplies, including personal protective equipment. 2. Supporting the National Disaster Management Center in its coordination role by providing technical assistance to immediately develop tools for information gathering among the different government bodies, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders, and establish a comprehensive database on challenges faced and response provided by each sector and existing gaps. And 3. addressing the human rights and socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 by assisting in the recovery of micro and small businesses, with a focus on those owned by youth and women in the most vulnerable townships. Before the advent of COVID-19, 2020 was meant to be a super year for nature, conservation, and climate action. This year marked the official start of the implementation of the Paris Agreement, as well as the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. In the run-up to the climate conference COP26, which has been postponed to November 2021, UNDP South Africa will support enhanced climate activities and ensure public participation of women and youth through the Global Climate Promise Programme and the Mission 1.5 initiative. As South Africa's development landscape evolves, so too will UNDP concentrate its efforts in 1. Inclusive growth, employment and entrepreneurship, 2. Governance, institutional strengthening and capacity building, 3. Climate resilience, sustainably managed natural resources and greening of South Africa's economy, and 4. Gender, health and inclusivity. A post-COVID-19 South Africa presents an unprecedented opportunity to revive stalled growth in the country in a more sustainable, green and inclusive manner. In doing so, UNDP South Africa is committed more than ever to ensure that we reach South Africa's most vulnerable.